So a little bit more about um, this field of biochemistry. One of the more important things of it is how different systems are going to extract energy. So in phototrophic systems or photosynthetic systems, they're going to extract energy from sunlight. And examples for that, as we previously mentioned, were plants, green bacteria, and cyanobacteria. Other organisms, non-photosynthetic organisms, are going to extract energy from different fuels. So most bacteria as well as animals are going to do that. Energy input is ultimately the name of the game. And I bring that up because that's relevant to the second semester of this class, but what we're going to be learning in this semester, is we're going to be learning about some of those very important molecules, those carbohydrates. So we're going to be learning about carbohydrates and the different structures of those to see, and we'll be able to use those later on down the line for energy extraction. Okay, now the molecular logic of life is that we look at the chemistry that is behind initiation of and acceleration of reactions, organization and specificity of metabolism and signaling, and storage and transfer of information and energy. So for our class, what we're going to be focusing on is we're going to be focusing on initiation and acceleration of reactions, storage and transfer of information and energy. So initiation and acceleration of reactions, we're going to be talking about that in terms of enzymes. So how does a biological catalyst or an enzyme accelerate a reaction? We'll also be talking about storage of energy, and transfer of energy. We'll be talking about carbohydrates. We'll be talking about lipids. We'll be talking about molecules that are high energy compounds or that can be used for energy down the way. Then we'll also be talking about storage of information in the case of DNA and RNA. So that's what we're dealing with when we're talking about molecular logic of life. Now, the molecular hierarchy of structure. So when you look at a cell, what you need to be able to do is you need to look at that cell and think, okay, with that cell I'm talking about, I'm going to look specifically at the nucleus. Okay, well, within the nucleus, what do I have? Within the nucleus, I have my genomic DNA. Well, my genomic DNA is organized into a supramolecular complex known as chromatin. That chromatin is DNA molecules, DNA double helices, that are wrapped around proteins. Those DNA molecules, that would be our macromolecular level, which that can be broken down subsequently into nucleotides. Okay, the same thing goes for the plasma membrane. Our supramolecular structure, or supramolecular complex, would be our plasma membrane, which is going to consist of lipids as well as proteins, which those proteins can be broken down into amino acids. Our cell wall, if we're talking about a plant cell or something like that, well, that's going to consist of cellulose, which that cellulose is a macromolecular version of an individual sugar. Okay, so it's always important to think about those different sort of scaffolds or that hierarchy of molecules. Now, if there is one molecule or one element that is more important than any other element in a biochemistry class, it's going to be carbon. The reason for that is that carbon is going to be doing a number of different things. It's going to be bonding with a number of different other atoms. For instance, we have carbon-oxygen single bonds, we have carbon-oxygen double bonds. We have carbon-hydrogen bonds, we have carbon-carbon single, carbon-carbon double, and carbon-carbon triple bonds. We have carbon-nitrogen single and double bonds, and then we also have our carbon-hydrogen bonds. So carbon's going to be involved in basically everything, and the number and kind of diversity of different ways in which carbon is utilized is pretty tremendous.